Okay, so by now we have calculated a lot of advanced features along with the basic features. Now what we're gonna do, we are going to take up some more work with respect to creating all this, right? So we need to write a function for this, and writing of these functions is quite simple, right? So if you take a look at this, we have basically passing these two questions. We are calculating all the features, like you can see that we are also giving the name for this, like CWC min and so on, right? So these are the features we are creating. Even if you look at your fuzz ratio and all that, you can see that we are basically calling token sort ratio, token sort ratio, and so on. So again, these are all the things which we have even discussed. It's just that we are going to put everything into programmatic feature. So we have created almost 15 features by now using this particular portion. Now once we are done, we can see all this output. So you can see it here that what all the features we have just created after creating that fuzzy ratio. So further to this, let's do some analysis just to understand that how it's gonna look like. Now what we're gonna do, we're gonna look at a word cloud. What is a word cloud? Word cloud is going to look something like this. What does this mean? So this is a word cloud for all duplicate question. So what this word cloud is doing is it is showing you all the words which are very commonly occurring into your duplicate question. So these are the words which are continuously occurring into your duplicate questions, like Donald Trump, difference, 1k rupee, best way. Similarly, I want to see for the non-duplicate words, and these are the words like India, not, will, one, difference. So these are the words which are basically not very frequently occurring into a non-duplicate questions. Now once we are done with this, this is just to give us some insight that okay, what kind of words, if we see that most likely it's going to be my algorithm is going to learn from it that okay, if these words are there, most likely it's going to be kind of repeating question or a non-repeating question. Now further to this, we have created a lot of features, advanced features. So what we're going to do is now we're gonna put all those features basically here and do some analysis. So what we're gonna do is creating a pair plot on CTC min, CWC min, CSC min, and token sort ratio. So I have created for these, but feel free to create for more. Okay. The reason we have not created for more because actually we have tried that and they were not looking that great. So the features which were making sense were this while doing the pair plot. So you can see here that it's showing a very nice distribution, right? So if you look at this particular graph, there are some of the places where we are getting a very nicely separated one, like you can see here. So here we can very easily say that in CSC min, and if we compare the first column which is CTC min, so we can very easily write an if else loop and separate them out, right? And you can see not only in this one graph, but in fact in most of the graphs you can see that there is a very nice distribution happening basically, right? Even in this, right, there may be some mix up here and there, so like in this. So there is a very nice kind of distribution which is happening, which means that these columns are highly important for our analysis. Now once we are done with this, let's do some more analysis just to see the distribution. And you can see here that when we created this graph for token sort ratio, you can see here that we do have again a very good distribution of graph in terms of, you can see that this is not exactly overlapping. This is basically there is some overlap but not fully overlap. So we are getting a graph something like this. So it's okay. Basically we can still see that when my token sort ratio is going on the higher end, then basically my duplicate questions are going to increase, right? So this is what we are getting an idea. And if my token sort ratio is on the lower end, then it's going to be kind of my we can see that we have non-duplicate questions. Similarly, we can look at these histograms. We can plot an histogram with this, and you can see that yes, even in histograms we do have a good difference. Like if you look at the median values for both, they have a very distinct highly apart from each other. So we are basically looking at a duplicate portion. So this again reflects that we are going in the right direction and these columns are highly important. Let's do the same thing for the fuzz ratio, and for the fuzz ratio exactly the same thing. What we can notice there's an overlap, and we can see for the higher value of fuzz ratio, we do have again in this case some duplicate values. Now let's do some visualization. When I say visualization, what we're going to do is this is 15 dimensional data, right? So definitely we do have even some basic additional feature which we have added earlier, but let's say if I only consider this 15 advanced feature which we have created, so what we're gonna do is definitely it's impossible for me to visualize that 15 dimensional data. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take up and reduce it to maybe 2 dimension or 3 dimension and see that whether we are going to still make some sense out of it. So here we are going to take up only 5,000 rows, because TSNE will not be able to take up so much of data, again as we learned in the TSNE kind of topics. So here we are keeping the method as Barney said, we are taking iteration as 1000, we are going with respect to components as 2, and basically if you look at this, we have basically computed and converted to 2, and we are basically also kind of plotting this up. So when we are plotting this up, you can see that this is the output. So this is a nice distribution, right? We have converted 15 dimension to 2 dimension, but we can still see that we have a very nicely separated data, like at least in this region this region is very nicely separated. Here also we have a very good separation. Here also we do, yeah, there is a small mix up, that's definitely there, but still it's a very good kind of visualization we can do in 2D itself. Now this is telling us very clearly that we do have this model have a very nice sense basically for this. So this is basically telling us that yes, this model is whatever 15 features we have created, they are highly important. So that's also one thing what we get from it. Now again we can do the same thing with let's say 3 dimension, and let's see with 3 dimensions we can also plot a scatter 3D plot, which you might have learned in a machine learning course, that we can also visualize it in a 3D way. This looks more cooler. Let me show you. In fact, you can like move this, even if you want you can kind of zoom, kind of look at the data. You can even kind of keep moving and keep scrolling. So this you can visualize it basically in a 3D format. Okay, so this is a nice box which you are noticing here, which you can visualize it, and very nicely if you hover over it, it will also tell you the points. So again, for us the crux point here is that we can easily visualize by just looking at this data, and that means that all our features which we have created are highly critical, and we're gonna use it for our further analysis when we're gonna apply our model on top of it.